I am very pleased to announce the publication of my large-scale audiobook, Determinism, Freedom, and Psychopathy, professionally narrated by Mitchell K. Johnson, available for sale at audible.com. Even though the world is governed by laws, human beings are able to be free. In fact, there is no difference between being genuinely free and having a distinctively human psychological architecture. But self-deception and rationalization can result in the replacement of actual beliefs with operational pseudo-beliefs. When this happens, the result is a sociopathic pseudo-person. The difference between a sociopath and a psychopath is that whereas the sociopath once had a distinctively human psychological architecture, the psychopath never developed such an architecture to begin with. Thus, whereas the sociopath's personality is that of an ossified human, the psychopath has no real personality to speak of. What the psychopath lacks in the way of an actual identity, he replaces with narratives, the primary function of which is to give a semblance of cohesiveness to his otherwise gelatinous psyche, and a secondary function of which is to defraud others. But the psychopath's tendency to defraud others is merely a way of providing external reinforcement for his flimsy, narrative-based faux identity. Now please enjoy a promotional excerpt from the audiobook itself.
Determinism, Freedom, and Psychopathy by J.M. Kuczynski, Ph.D. Even though everyone lies, the non-psychopath tends to speak from the heart, and thus to say what he believes, as opposed to what others want to hear. The psychopath has no tendency at all to say what he believes, for he has no heart, and therefore no heart to speak from. Since, therefore, his only reasons for speaking are strategic, he says what people want to hear. Thus, even though he doesn't have a heart, the psychopath is more likely than others to strike people as having an exceptionally pure one. But the psychopath doesn't fool everybody. He only fools those who fall into one of two categories. 1. Those who simply lack the acumen to see through his chicanery, and 2. Those who, because of special circumstances, have an emotional incentive not to see through it. Among those falling into the second category are A. Those who are themselves children or parents of psychopaths, and B. Those who, having been brutalized in some way or other, possibly by some other psychopath, find much-needed solace in his trite blandishments, and thus have an emotional need to believe in the authenticity of their source. Those not thus blinded will see hollow performances in the psychopath's noble deeds and empty cliches in his insights. In due course, those who see through the psychopath are likely to see that there isn't a person behind the mask, only a proto-person who believes in nothing, values nothing, and is nothing, and who, so far as he isn't trying to convince himself and others otherwise, aspires only to gratify base animalistic urges and quasi-human derivatives thereof, such as a need, not a desire, a need for adulation or wealth.